Thanks for tuning in. We've got a special one for you today, guys. I'm Sharon from the Age of Aquarius group. Today we're going to be talking about all things ascension, and I can't wait to introduce you to Michael from the Gold Coast, otherwise known as Mr. Electric. He's got a wealth of information to share with all of us. Before we get started, a little background on me. The last few months I've really struggled with energy and being able to show up for everything I need to show up for in my daily life. I've been doing it, but it's been lackluster. I had an energy session this week with Michael, and since then I've had more energy than I have had in months. I think you'll agree when I say we've found a ripper here, a true white wizard that is here to help the collective. Without further ado, I'm here with Michael, Mr. Electric himself from the Sunshine Coast. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. I thought today we'd talk about what happened to me 9 years ago. Live longer, stay younger, heal themselves, learn about what's really happening in the world, because there's so much misinformation, especially with the artificial intelligence. And then I'll discuss herbs, sungazing, health issues, for example, that people may have, and how to remedy some of these. I've worked in the corporate world for many years. I've got so many qualifications. It's hilarious. In business and marketing. A bad car accident when I was 21. So I've been seeing chiropractors for many, many years. In 2016, this large Dutch lady way over manipulated my neck. And that caused subluxation. I was lucky not to tear the veins in my neck, which means I would have passed away. But I did actually pass away. But that was a situation where I temporarily lost use of my arms and my legs. And then the doctors and hospitals gave me the wrong drugs that interacted, they poisoned me. So I did actually pass away. I was brought up to the light, this white light that I only describe as like 10,000 times the love I've ever felt before from anyone ever. It's just incredible. And since that time, actually, I've been up seeing the white light about 6 times through my Kundalini activation prayers and through humming on certain notes to achieve that. So I also want to teach people how to do that, which is why I built my Ascension online course with 23 hours of videos on physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, transcendental enlightenment. But actually saw Jesus, and Jesus is just incredible. He was surrounded by white light. He had all white on. He had a gold sash around his waist, and he had gold sort of sandals on. And he just looked lovingly at me, but it wasn't actually Jesus that spoke to me. It was actually a big sort of this deep booming voice, but it sounded like a very relaxed voice. And that was God actually speaking to me and just telling me, everything was going to be okay. And that he wanted to send me back, and then told me who I was. And then basically, what my destiny was to be. Passed away for about half an hour. And this was about 12:30 at night in Sydney. And then when I came back to my body about 1 a.m., I was in intense pain, but I also felt like a lot of internal love as well. My neck and my spine issues from and still the poisons in me from the pharma drugs that they'd given me, right? I left Sydney and I went back to Adelaide to heal myself. And it took a good year, healed the subluxations, everything in my neck. It was really quite an astounding time, because about 2 days after I was in Adelaide, I was physically moved into a healing position, not of my own accord. My body was physically moved, and I was moved upside down and prayer position. I stayed in this position for a day and a half. I heard the subluxations like a tap dripping back into my neck, which means I knew I was being healed, right? So that was, then I cried for about a day after that. But anyway, it felt like, and I can only describe it this way, it was like a USB was plugged into my brain for about 8 weeks. Didn't sleep much. Some people, when they pass away, can come back and play the piano, like, fluently. Some people can speak 3 or 4 languages. I was gifted knowledge, and that was 9 years ago. Studied all major religions. I've read 30 cookbooks. I've studied all massage techniques. So I learned how to cut gems professionally. I have had 15 years of singing lessons. I'm super fit. I can do as many weights as I was 30 years old. I can run on the beach like a gazelle. Yeah. And I'm supposed to be almost 60 years old, right? So I've also got several inventions. So you can see the skin on my face, right? And then you look at other 60-year-olds, and I don't feel young, but I do feel young for my age, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So teach others how to achieve that, right? So I'm not trying to be ego-driven or anything like that. But when you know what is so and why it is so, and you can explain it, and I can do that, because there's so much incorrect things that are spread around. What is ascension? So to achieve ascension and kundalini, I learned is that I could sun gaze and look at the sun and the moon, and you get serotonin from the sun and melatonin from the moon for your circadian sleep cycle. Over the last 9 years, I have been sun gazing, and for the last sort of 5 years, for the first 2 years, I probably did morning sun for the first hour, and I started with sort of like I looked through a triangle with both my hands, and one eye, then the other eye, and also when you lie north on the ground, say with your bathers on, and you're looking at the sun, you get the sun on the front part of your body. Then you turn around the other way, get the sun on your spine, right? And I did this for many, many, many years, because you have to think north and south and east and west for your energy, you see, because the energy pulls you north and south. Also ascertained is that after about 2 years, I realized, because I was up to about a half an hour, because you start with 20 seconds of sun gazing, then you double it every day, half an hour of morning sun. And then I realized I could actually look at the sun in the full sun, right? Now my tolerance for my eyes are like lasers. So basically I can look at the full sun, no problem. So I can do like a half an hour of full sun gazing. Yeah. But other people can't do that because they haven't trained their eyes. So I used to have very dark brown eyes, and now they're sort of a green bluey color. I've changed the color of my eyes. So these days, I've helped so many people with many ailments. I've also studied herb law, of course, and Chinese medicine. So I know about sort of 400 herbs. So I know how to increase, decrease blood pressure. I know what causes asthma. I know what causes arthritis. So it's basic ailments, more advanced as well. With the sun gazing, what it means in an ascension is that stronger your electrical energy within, or the electromagnetic energy, then eventually when you've got that much power, your head lights up like a light bulb, right? So my head at the moment is extremely warm and very hot, right? It's just the heat is intense, right? Because with energy becomes heat. So I don't really feel cold in winter, because it's winter up here on the Sunshine Coast. As a consequence, that you only pass away when your north or your south pole of your energy disconnects. And I've physically done that, right? I know. You sun gaze and moon gaze, but also get the sun and the moon on your body, like a lot of it, then you're going to maintain that energy. People want to further in my wisdom and for youthfulness and more. Now is not the time for and alone. It's time for people to come together, good people to come together and help each other, which is why I'm here, right, to help people. It's really what ascension is. You achieve tremendous energy within to make your head and your power so strong that you're just going to sustain your life for a very long time, past 120 years. I'll explain it in another way. So it comprehends about time and longevity. So if I travel here from Brisbane, say, for example, to Sydney in a car, that takes about 11 to 12 hours, right?
Yeah.
If I travel by a plane from Brisbane to Sydney, that takes 1.75 hours, right? Which is obviously faster. If I travel from Brisbane to Sydney at the speed of light, there is no time.
Yep.
So when you become the light, basically time slows down and it stops, right? So that means my aging has stopped, because the more energy you have, the slower you age. So because I have so much energy, I just won't age anymore. It means that I won't look like other 60, 70-year-olds that have, saggy skin and a body that's just not good, because I've actually, got probably a 4.5 pack, like on my stomach, right? So I've got lots of muscle, sort of Bruce Lee sort of physique, the best thing to sustain for longevity. And of course, also tell people about the diet they should achieve. That's the first thing I just wanted to say about energy, so critical. But what I'm seeing these days is that so many people are unwell, disturbed by what's happening in the world. They're upset by current events. And unfortunately, we shouldn't dwell on these things. We should dwell about, people around us, and always try to put good people around us, support those that need our help, right, to do good things for others. It's all about the weights and measures of goodness versus evil. All things that we say, do, think, and our actions actually recorded just below our heart space and played back to us like videos when we pass away. And I know, because I've done that, right? It's surreal that I actually know that. Certainly hope I don't pass away for a long time, right? Because I've done it and it's very painful. And two or three drugs that interacted, right? So I had blood in my urine. My kidneys shut down. My neck was so painful, and pain was like a 9 out of 10 with my neck, right, with relaxations of what was happening. But these days, because my spine is still not perfect, but the good thing in Sharon is that I can click my relaxation in my neck back into place. It goes click every morning. It clicks back into place.
Yeah.
So therefore, I don't have pain anymore. It takes sort of half an hour to build the energy again. I teach this in my online course, my Ascension Supernatural Alignment course, how to activate the energy, because I give people energy on the Sunshine Coast, but manifest it again the next morning because it sits in your spirit body, also in your nervous system.
Yeah.
So I'm just not nervous, anxious. I'm not, anything that happens around me, I'm just so blessed and thankful to be alive, living in these times, because these are the incredible times, and we're going to see a lot of, unfortunately, bad things happen before a lot of good things happen. So I'm trying to teach people to do good things and see the good in the world rather than the evil things, because it's the way you perceive things is how you manifest your life.
You've proven that you can definitely focus on the wrong things when your heart's in the right place, but you've got your focus in, worrying about.
Absolutely. I can't change the situation in USA and Iran and Iraq. I mean, that's just them to play out their games. All days are named after planets. So today's actually Moon Day, not Monday, right? In the mid-1500s, they actually changed the calendars, right? We're talking about Gregorian, Julian calendars. And what they did is they deleted I think it was 14 days, they just deleted, right? Because technically we're supposed to have 13 months of the year at 28 days each. And then the 1st of April, day in lieu, right, which make equals 365 days. That would then make things a lot more aligned. It's all out of whack. The same with pianos, actually. So we're retuned to 440 instead of 432 hertz, right? Because numbers are not what people think either. Because 432, 4 plus 3 plus 2 adds up to 9. Because everything comes back to 9 and 10. Because the numbers from 1 to 42 actually are the numbers of the gods, the spirit gods. But and there's a hierarchy of gods, right? Lord God One is the master of all the universes, because there's actually 99 universes, not just one universe, right? So, but we're not going to talk about that today. Let's talk about herbs. Those people that have issues, I see people with blood issues, lung issues. Most diseases start with the wrong thoughts. Kidneys, okay. So things that affect kidneys are fear goes to kidneys, anger goes to the liver, grief goes to the lungs, love or hate goes to the heart, right? And anxiety goes to the stomach. So if we have fear in ourselves, then that really impacts our kidneys. Kidneys and our spleen are under the pump, like, because the spleen clears the blood, and the kidneys, filter as well, right? Massive big filters, just like oysters are filters of the sea. Very similar, right?
Yeah.
So it basically extracts our toxins and other things. But also people need to comprehend that first the liver processes toxins, and then our brain is the secondary processor of toxins, and then it comes out via the lymphatic system. Yeah. So the best things actually for our brain is we need good cholesterol. So there's good and bad cholesterol. The best things in good cholesterol is actually calamari, walnuts, lion's mane, and cauliflower. So if people have this for their brain will feel amazing. So I use like a lion's mane extract, and lion's mane, because God is so clever, he basically looks exactly like our brain. Just like celery looks like your bones, and that kidney beans look like your kidneys, right? So it's not an accident. The sweet potato, again, looks like, your pancreas. So it's quite surreal. But also things come back to colors, because colors are not what people think either when you look at the rainbow, because all colors vibrate at different frequencies. So black is not a color. Black attracts negative entities, but white is the sun, and white is a combination of all colors. But then the chakra colors in our body is the Roig, which is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, white, indigo, violet, which is 8 chakras. And 8's including the white of your mouth, right? So, and the white light eventually will come out of my mouth. So that's what that is. And they'll vibrate at different frequencies. Some people can see auras, some people can't see auras. Mm-hmm. And with that, vibrate at different frequencies.
Yes, can see and poles within. Yeah.
Yes. So have 12 chakras, so 8 plus 4, because you have your hands and your feet, the other 4 chakras. That's 12 chakras, and 8 and 12 meridian lines. So people need to comprehend things and to see things in different ways, because they're not going to get better just going to a doctor, because the doctors don't study dietary knowledge. But then I also know dietitians, and they don't know what I know. I'm not trying to be big-headed, but they don't know.
You're not saying that. We have been doing this for thousands of years, knowing this knowledge, and then you go, it's book knowledge versus this innate knowledge that comes through.
Diet, and basically you see these people on the carnivore diet, you see these people that are vegans, but you see most vegans I know are actually anemic, right? Because they don't get enough, they don't absorb the iron either. So, but the highest thing in iron is actually Salisbury root tea.
Because of the nutrients that they put into it.
If we drink silica water, that's actually good because high in good minerals and nutrients, but the water, right? So the iron. So several ways we can do that, because amethyst is purple because it's infused with iron. So if you put amethyst in your water for 15 minutes, it's going to start to infuse iron in that water. That's one thing. So in the middle of every single red blood cell is the element iron. So we need the iron to accumulate energy. We also need iron for our red blood cells.
Yeah.
And you need everything white for your white blood cells, like all the white foods, and there's lots of them. So what it is for red, the red is so significant and so important, right? The red blood is significant. Blood also can determine from our past generations whether people lean more towards a carnivore diet or more to a vegetarian diet. So there's, for example, as I said before, calamari is the highest thing in good cholesterol, and there's no other substitute from a fruit and a vegetable for good cholesterol to such a level. Sure, you can get some from some cashews and nuts and stuff, but it's not quite the same.
From calamari, that's octopus.
Calamari, yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Well, no, octopus is not. Octopus is not. Yeah, squid is different from calamari. I'd never eat an octopus. Octopus is not a squid.
Good. Thanks for clarifying that.
Squid is very different from an octopus. So octopuses live so much longer than squid.
Yeah.
Octopuses are an old species and they're very wise. And if I caught an octopus, I put it straight back, right? Just if I caught a big fish, I put it back, right?
I try to make friends with it.
Absolutely. You see, but again, I'll explain this so people sort of get it. But you see, beef tallow and beef fat, that melts at 45, 50 degrees. Most people's temperature sits between 37 and 40 degrees. So the melting point of that fat's too high. So it basically stays solid in our body, right? So it starts to block your arteries and stuff. You should not be eating red meat, right?
So don't tell me that.
Just telling you so you know, right?
Yeah.
So coconut oil melts at about 22 degrees and fish oil melts at very low degrees, right? So they're all low. So they're going to be soluble in our blood and in our system, right? So for me it's a no-brainer as to why I'm a pescatarian, and I eat the fish, and I give prayers, and I thank the Lord, and I thank everybody for the passing of the fish, and I give thanks for every meal and everything that I do, right? So beautiful. just as when people put bioresonance, those little microphones on flowers and plants, they can actually hear them sing.
I know.
And when, for example, that flower is picked, then the flower actually cries and it lets out a shrill. So it knows that you've killed it, right? It's not like it's, and people say that plants that have feelings. Of course, plants have feelings. Like Emoto has shown this. You say, love you, mango tree, and your mango tree is going to love you back, and it'll grow so well. If you say, hate and nasty words to a mango tree, it's going to shrivel and die. It's the same thing with a human, right? Listen to nasty songs, you should listen to good songs, right? Bluntly, is that in the last 2 years, 250 holistic doctors have mysteriously passed away in the last 2 years, right? They just haven't. So I'm saying they're being knocked off, right? Because they've been trying to help people. So I
believe it.
When I say they, I'm saying the deep state aliens that control people up the top in high level positions do not want people to get better. They're trying to reduce the population. But we're not here to talk about that today.
We're not here to talk about
I'm here to talk about herbs. Let's go through some herbs for people, right? So people either have high or low blood pressure, but people are having a lot of problems with their blood, right? Because of the jabby and also from the chemical sky spray, right? So they've got a lot of problems with their heart,
which a lot of people.
myositis and other issues, right? So to help your blood, you need to eat all red fruits and things that are red, right? So like red raspberries, red apples, radishes, etc. Everything that's red is really good for your blood, right? That's just, for me, seems obvious, but it's not obvious because people don't comprehend that. So red clover is amazing for our blood, as is cinnamon and licorice, because cinnamon and licorice combined help to stop blood clots in your blood, right? So, but people with low blood pressure should actually take licorice, because licorice will increase your blood pressure. So people with high blood pressure should not have a lot of licorice, right? Because it just increase their blood pressure even more. To lower blood pressure, you need to exercise. You also need to learn to relax. And the more you sungaze, the more relaxed you'll be, because it sits in your nervous system, right?
Yeah.
But you start slow with sungazing, then you build up, right, over time. And when I teach this with all the people that I see, or people that join me on Facebook. So once you have helped your blood, you need to also, for example, love yourself and love your blood. I know that sounds a bit silly, but it's true, right? So if your blood is an issue, no, if you love your blood, then you can start to heal it, right? You can start to make it better. If you say, oh, I'm angry, I'm crappy, I'm shitty, and I don't love myself, I love my blood, what do you think is going to happen? Of course they're going to get sick, right? Become unwell. This is a dis-ease.
Tell your car you hate it. It'll break down all the time.
Yes. I see people with all these sort of coughy, coldy sort of issues, right? They're coughing and spluttering, and it shouldn't be like this, right? Because again, but also please remind me, Sharon, I want to come back to aluminium and heavy metals in the brain too. But with the lungs, that is a lack of self-expression. It's lack of vibration to do the humming. Also a lack of the right herbs to put into the stomach, right, and into the lungs.
Yeah.
So some of the best things for our lungs is
breathing. Not breathing.
You're not breathing fully. Not breathing fully.
Chance to do 2 types of yoga, and one of them was the breath yoga. And I have always been like, oh no, in this lifetime I can't be bothered, breathing properly, because I know I always knew where that would take me spiritually, and I have allowed it to when I've done breath work. The automatic laziness on it is incredible. Like not to we need fully.
We need mullein leaf, mullein, mullein leaf tea for our lungs.
Yep.
We also need so there's pressed oregano virgin oil, and there's essential oregano oil. They're both very different. You can actually consume pressed virgin oregano oil, like a teaspoon, once a week, because that's all we need, because it's very powerful. Mm-hmm. And that basically is the strongest antiseptic in the world, right? It's the strongest antiseptic. The other one is actually propolis, which comes from an extract of bees, right? But if people have allergies, or are allergic to bees, obviously they shouldn't have propolis, right? So, yeah. But allergies and asthma and these types of things, they're all autoimmune diseases, right? Autoimmune diseases.
Yes.
So the lungs, if you actually get 2 drops of essential oregano oil, 2 drops of peppermint oil, and a few drops of eucalyptus oil in a boiling hot water basin, and stick a towel over it and breathe it in, that's going to cleanse the lungs, right? It's going to clear the lungs. Yeah. And you won't need to go to a hospital and be put on a ventilator, right? If you do that, right? That'll help the brain, right? And talk about the brain, because the brain is so significant, and especially because the sun is going to flip in July. When I say that, the sun's going to reverse his poles, right? Because the sun is Lord Hordle. When he reverses the poles, it's going to emit 125 CMEs, or sunspots, because from every sunspot comes out the coronal mass ejections, which is like plasma bursts, right? And just like the Carrington event in 1859, most of them will be pointing towards the Earth. So this is going to be, we just so people comprehend, we're having about 8 to 10 sunspots at the moment. So this is 10 times more sunspots than what we have at the moment, right? This is mid-July, so this is going to be intense.
Yeah.
So people need to wrap their head around this, because if they don't extract the heavy metals in their brains, then it's like putting your head in a microwave, right? And when you put aluminium in a microwave, it goes bang, right? So
That's the idea, though, isn't it?
we have, all Alzheimer's patients have high levels of aluminium in their brains, right? Extract that. We need to extract the aluminium, the heavy metals, right? So heavy metals are like cadmium, barium, strontium, etc., and they are being sprayed on us, right? And the same with the aluminium particles, and it's called a smart dust chem spray. So we need to detox ourselves from this, right, on a constant basis, because it's been happening for years and years.
It's not like people can be in denial of this.
No.
People are, which I find really odd.
Yes.
Like just back when everybody
Yes.
turned in 2020 and absolutely isolated the people who knew something was wrong. This to come across as, these people talking about something that doesn't exist. Undeniable.
It exists.
Yes.
So what that means is that it needs to be extracted, right? And you have all these gurus that are saying, parasites, this and parasites. We'll get to parasites in a minute, and also heavy metals. But what they don't comprehend is that the Latin word virus, which is a Latin word, actually means venom, right? So venom is also an issue, because venom, just guess what? Snake venom clots the blood, and it also stops the heart, right? So that's happening to a lot of people too, right? But that was something that was given in, that was put in people's arms, right? So, but yeah. I don't want to get in that today, but let's go back to heavy metals, right? Because that's and parasites, because they're major issues as well. So heavy metal binders, you can use bamboo charcoal, just like a quarter of a teaspoon, even in water once a week. That's going to help massively. THC, which was banned in 1943 by the Rockefellers, they put those plants around the Fukushima reactors and extracted most of the radioactive waste from the soil. It went into those plants and they burned the plants. When you have small edible quantities of THC, guess what happens? It attaches to the heavy metals and comes out of your body naturally. So this is why, again, and it's not a matter of like smoking and this sort of stuff. You just have like tiny edibles. You don't need lots of it.
Yeah.
And it just helps, right? So this is what people should comprehend and learn, right? It's very significant, very important.
It is. It is.
So this is really going to help the brain, right? It's really going to help the body. So this is significant and important.
It is, and it's
with parasites. Yep. I'll just go through parasites. And we'll come. So parasites are caused by many things. Parasites are caused by raw fish. Parasites are caused by dogs and cats. Parasites are caused by nanobots, which comes from many sources. And I won't go through the sources because there's too many of them, right? But essentially, 90% of the population have nanobots, or they have parasites within them, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we have to extract them. So to extract parasites, it's a continual uphill battle to get rid of them. Some people use a liquid zeolite there's only 2 suppliers. One of my friends is a supplier, but the other one is wormwood and feverfew and cloves and star anise, right? And the last one is papaya seeds. Papaya seeds, and you swallow them whole. 10 a day, and you do that probably for 2 months, and then I can guarantee you won't have parasites after that, right? And as I said before, with that information I just talked about, the good brain foods, if people eat those good brain foods, your brain will feel clear and good and well, yes.
Yeah.
So these things are quite significant too. So I just talk about my Ascension course, and it took me 3.5 years to build this at a cost of $18,000. It's 23 hours of videos on physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, transcendental, and enlightenment. So what I include is I have a private members Ascension group in Messenger, and I'll enroll them in that. I'll give them three inclusive sessions, and they can ask me any question in my Messenger group once they're in there. But I've been posting wisdom in that Messenger group for years, so that in itself is more than valuable. Because as I said before, people that just focus on money. You see, if you pass away, what's the point of having $1 million, $5 million in your bank? What is an extra 100 years worth to somebody? I mean, what is that worth? Because I'm being deadly serious that I will live to 150, 200 years. Easy, right? Not a problem
we used
anymore.
to live to 900 if you look back in history.
Methuselah lived for 940 years. Noah lived for 900 years, so it's very possible, right? It's when I know how to achieve that, right? Being dumbed down, and they don't know about the energy, right? So I can walk down the street in my normal clothes, because I don't wear fancy clothes. I don't feel the need, and I know other people wear like this white dress and dress up like Jesus. I don't want to do that, right? Because I just am me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not Jesus. Okay?
Yeah.
But I am actually technically the age of Aquarius, and Jesus is the age of Pisces, and the next prophet after me is the age of Capricorn. He will be around about 2,000 years, right?
Yeah.
So that's where that sits. But people just need to you see, it often takes 5 or 6 people, 5 or 6 times to see my posts and realize that I'm not like your average person that walks down the street. Today's podcast, that people actually appreciate some of the knowledge that we share, Sharon. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it's incredible knowledge. It's what people need to know.
This week alone, right? I'm just giving people, if people message me, I'll help them and they just need to give me a donation, right? That's all I ask. They give me a donation. That's all this week, right? To go even further and they want to invest in my supernatural alignment course, then sure, then I'll message me, I'll help them, Sharon. So, yeah. I just want to show you, I've lost about probably 14 kilos over 8 years, right? So weigh like 85 kilos, and now I'm like 69 kilos. So I've got a 4-pack. I'm well built in terms of like a Bruce Lee stature. So I can teach people how to achieve this as well, right? So
yeah,
good talking to you today, Sharon.
That's wonderful. Well,
My
thank
pleasure,
you
Sharon.
so much for speaking with me, and we will speak soon.